Hello, it is Tulsi. It is right before the finale. The finale is tomorrow. I made final two. I'm so freaking excited. I was so nervous yesterday going into that last live night and everything. I was freaking out. I felt something just kind of off in my gut. Um, it didn't feel off enough that I didn't think I was gonna go to jury, but it was incredible to win that last challenge. It was amazing. That first challenge was like that game trivia logic puzzle, and I had it like that. I checked it exactly one time and I had everything right because I know what the fuck I'm doing. I took all the notes and everything I needed to have beforehand, and I know how to search for stuff in Skype if I didn't already have it. That was so cool. Like winning part one, I knew. I think I talked about it in like my confessional right before this, but I I knew that part one was going to be the game trivia, part two was going to be endurance, and part three was going to be the jury questions. Um, I don't know if that's like similar to Big Brother because I've never actually seen Big Brother, but like I knew that this game was set up that way. Um, so I was like, I know I have to win that first part because endurance is the one thing I failed at this whole time. That's one thing I cannot do. Um, and I did win that first part, and I knew Lana would win the second. And that's exactly what I wanted because in jury questions, she was going to suck ass. And she did. That was fantastic for me, especially with the way that she went out. Oof, that. I can't say I disagree with what Corey had to say about that. He like felt kind of offended that she was taking like all this credit for everything, and I do think she played a really good game, and that's why I wrote on my vote sending her out, Lana, you'd win. I'd like to think I'd have a chance against her, but that's not a risk I'm willing to take. I'd rather just take my win. And I do feel pretty confident that I can win tomorrow. I had like notes for like my final speech, but that was against Alana. Like that was the one that I was most worried about. So I was like, could I beat her? Like, do I have points that I could say for that? So today I've been working on my notes for what I'd say against Corey. It's not so much even like about him. It's just highlighting my own game. I separated it into social, strategical, and like competition. Comp is like the least important to me, but like I won. I've been safe the last 4 rounds, um, and I won the last two comps, and those were the ones that mattered the most. And I think it's important to note that like you'll hear all about it tomorrow, but how the comps that I won earlier in the game were exactly the ones that didn't have safety come with it. I had power in being mob boss, but I did not have safety those rounds. And I talk a little bit about how like I never needed it. The only round my name was ever written down was the one where I did make a mistake and learned from it and like was able to go on from there and all that. But I've been working on it. I feel like I have a lot of good stuff to say for social and for strat. And knowing that most of Corey's game does rely on loyalty. And I played a loyal game too to the people that I was loyal to. I took my final three to the final three, and I didn't flip on anybody sooner than I needed to. So I think I can say the same things that he can say for that. Except I think it would be argued that he was loyal to a fault by picking me and Lana over Maddie. And I never had to make that choice. I could argue that I earned his loyalty to the point where he saved me when it wasn't best for his game. I think I have a lot of really good points. I think I have stuff that I've done that nobody knows about. I'm like preparing for whatever jury questions and stuff will get asked. Oh, this is so crazy. I'm in the final two. That's so crazy. I have never made merge in a game. And here I am. I'm super excited, super happy, having a great time. So talking about a second ago. Oh, I've been watching I watched the final confessional of Jordan last season to see where his head was at right before the final tribal, and I watched all that finale. That's what I was doing just now. All that was left was the votes being read. So I'm just trying to like keep a lot of those different things in mind, which, like Jordan says in his final thing, like he's been to a lot of finals, like he knows what he's doing, he knows how to like work that. So just getting some advice from my old friend about just how to approach that, because I've never been in this part of the game before, and Corey's played a lot of these. I think I have a lot of good stuff I can say about myself. I might embellish a little bit about what happened that people don't know about. Like the moves that people don't know about. Like I mentioned this to Corey yesterday, but like nobody else knows like how I did play a role in the mobs that Sean and I created and then gave to Brayden and Maddie. And I'm gonna probably spin it up a little bit, like I had more to do with it than I did. Because I don't feel like I did much except for decide the order in which people were selected, but I'm gonna be like, Sean and I made those and handpicked how we wanted to do it and gave it to the two of them. And about that idol that I found, and how I did find it a while before I told my allies. I'll probably just say it was even earlier. I could honestly say it was like right after I got the steal a power advantage from Alex, because that would come with the list, and that makes sense. I think I could put together a nice little story about that. Not that I need to, I don't think, but why not? But just how like I don't know. What I wrote up so far is like, oh, I found it at like final 7, and then I made sure that Corey played as nullifier before I needed to use my idol. Just in case anything funky happened at that final 5, like I didn't want him to do anything about it there. I'll see what makes the most sense for me to say. Yeah, I don't know. Like I talk a lot. Also Jordan said something in his confessional about like, because it's like a limited time, using as much time as possible whenever juror like asks something to like make it about me and use that time to my advantage. And I think knowing me and knowing Corey, I do talk a lot, and I think he's going to be stumbling over himself a little bit more. And I think I have a lot more to say, but I think also the pressure might like get to him. And if the jury does start attacking him, which he is definitely worried that they will, and they very well might, especially based on the comments on the like Facebook posts and stuff, and like what Maddie said as he left, what Oakley had been saying, what people had been saying about like me and Lana controlling the game, and like Corey, going to the end with people who were going to beat him, and Maddie not understanding his decision. I think he's going to get flustered, a little like emotional and heated about everything, and I think that's going to work to my advantage too. Love you, Corey. Sorry. Yeah, I am really looking forward to tomorrow. I'm really excited. I'm fully prepared to own up to my mistakes, give credit to my allies where it's due, give credit to my opponents where it's due, and for the most part be as honest about everything as I can be, because I don't think I really need to do anything else. I think if I can highlight everything that I've done, it's gonna be great.
All right, I'm going to walk you all the way back. You were just at the end in your head, but I want you to go back to cast reveal. You know that there's a theme. You know what the theme is. That's all you know. You don't know there's returnees coming back, and you are new to orgs for the most part, so you don't know if you're going to know anyone in the game. So your answer is probably going to be a little different than Corey's when I say, when you were watching cast reveal, was there anyone you were excited to see? Anyone you were dreading to see? What feelings and emotions were you going through? And what game plan did you have?
I think Okay, let's start with the first stuff that you said. I was excited to see Alex. That is the only familiar face to me in this cast. And we have not played together, but we had been able to talk about the same game that we did play together. And, we had common enemies in that game. And because we never worked together, like we never had to backstab each other or anything else, like nothing sneaky happened between us. It was all after we both had been eliminated. And so I felt like we had a good, like, short but good friendship already. Um, I don't remember too many other first impressions, except I remember seeing like Lana's Meet Me video, and I think I mentioned this in the like look back at the season and all that, but I was like, damn, this girl is intense. Like there's a lot going on here. I like that there was like so much in there for me to like reach out to her and respond about, and like so many different things I could like connect with her with in what she talked about. Um, I wasn't sure if I was gonna love her or hate her. I knew it was gonna be one or the other. Turned out I loved her. She was great, and gotta send her home. Um, but yeah, that was, and then the other two that I remember were Jasmine and Gigi, because they both talked about how they would play this game, and that was very interesting to me. Like, why would you give away what your game is? So that made me like pretty wary of them both. Like either you're giving yourself up now or you're really not self-aware is the vibe I get from someone who's like, oh, this is what my game is in their intro video. Yeah, when I like my approach to games usually is like if I have any negative first impressions, I kind of like squash them. I just like try not to think about it, just try to keep a completely open mind going in. And just feel everybody out, don't base it on those first impressions. Get some time to get to know everybody and then see how everybody else feels. And like just get the vibe from the group as a whole and then go off of that. No reason to start super early with someone you get along with super well and then everybody else hates them or something else. I don't need that. Um, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move to the blind vote. You may or may not have a lot to say about this. I'm not for sure if you talked to Jordan about it before or had any awareness of what you were voting for, but what was your thought process on that? What did you base your vote on? And what were your thoughts on Corey not being on a mob?
I did not really talk to Jordan much about. I didn't talk to him really at all about his game. At one point during the season, I did ask him about like what powers he had and how he got them. Um, Honestly, even that I don't think was like super useful to me because it was like it worked out just fine anyway. So no, had no idea what was going on there. I think I don't know if everyone was saying it like on call already at that point or what, but I think the general idea was that like there's probably a power involved, and it's highly unlikely they're like sending somebody home like that. But it was interesting to have like a 19-person cast, like an odd number. Um, but yeah, Corey volunteered, so I voted for Corey. Didn't think too much of it. No need to stir the pot or do anything there. If one person is volunteering and nobody else is like that loud about it, then go ahead, you can have it. Why do anything else? But like I said yesterday, he did reach out to me and a few others to like confirm that we were voting for him. And that was like weird to me. Like, why are you doing the most? Like, yeah, and it was like there was no other competition. So like, why are you campaigning for this so hard? Is what it felt like. It seems from after our conversation yesterday, he wasn't saying that to everybody, but that's what it seemed like. That's what it seemed like at the time.
Okay, and then I'm going to fast forward to I mean, we know about your relationships and like the early bonds you're forming, but then you find yourself with your two closest allies, it appeared at the time, Braden and Sean, losing, and it was something that it was kind of a crazy loss. With Colin going extremely over, you would have won if it had been a tie, or I mean, well, yeah, you would have won if Colin had just dropped at any time in that time span. So, I mean, you kind of walked into that knowing that you maybe had a little bit of a voting block. What factors went into the Galen vote for you, and how did you use that to set your game up? Or really, was it just a non-factor?
Um, at that point, it was, I don't need to be the one controlling it as long as it's not me. The only three names that came up that round were Galen, Colin, and Braden. Three of the four people who lost the point in the challenge. I was the fourth. My name didn't come up. I didn't care who went home. I didn't want it to be Braden, obviously, and his name went away quickly, I think, because people really did like him at the beginning and he was active. And then between Colin and Galen, Galen's first call with me was like immediately after the challenge, super panicky, and Colin, I feel like, was more chill, like not as freaked out. And the short text conversation that we had was like really nice, and he seemed incredibly sweet. And Sean had said that everybody was saying Galen. I was like, that's fine. And then later, Sean admits to me and Braden that he was the one who said Galen, and he pushed that to everybody. And I'm like, okay, mental note of that made. That is the kind of player that Sean is. He is the type to try to control things round one, needs to be in control, needs to be seen in control. He can't just have the power, everyone else has to know he has it too. I talk about that in my early confessionals. I wasn't thrilled about going to the first elimination, but I don't think I was worried either. I guess the only other thing I would say about that is just like using that time, to talk to everybody else in that mob as much as I can, feel everybody else out. And then because we did have that little trio, just sticking to that and building those bonds up as much as I could because those were my closest allies at that point.
You always stop talking right when I stick food in my mouth. Okay, so the next round, let's see, you were safe with the bootleggers. You were the first chosen by Lana. That's when we saw Grace go home. I'm not sure if anything happened that round that was really impactful to your game or not.
I don't think so.
Okay. Next round is the famed round where Braden and Matt won. There was a lot of planning behind the scenes on the groups. I never really saw the list, so I don't know if the groups actually ended up being chosen kind of the way they're originally arranged. But Sean got a lot of heat for that. And you ended up actually losing, as did Braden, as did Sean. So now you're in the bottom again, 2 rounds later. Did I freeze?
Mm-mm. Hello? Did I freeze?
Okay. Well, you're freezing off and on for me, and I don't know if it's me or you. But so you, okay. If it happens again, I'll let you know. It's only done it twice so far. So so you find yourself in the bottom with who had arguably been your closest allies. I think you were slowly kind of talking with Braden and Lana as much as you were talking with Braden and Sean. But that vote, you got pulled in to the other side, and you kind of had to make a choice. Am I going to vote Sean out? Is this going to be good for my game, or am I going to share this secret and let chaos ensue? So talk through a little bit of your decision to kind of make that pivotal move in your game.
I don't know if like this is me just like rewriting history in my own head. I feel like maybe I should go back and watch that confessional to see what the fuck happened, because you know me, I forget what I say immediately after it's said. But I don't remember that being a difficult decision for me to make. They had the majority of the votes, and those were all the other people that I wanted to work with. I wanted to work with Alex and Lana. And yeah, I remember Alex being pretty adamant about that move, and Sean was being messy, and it was not a good look to me that he, like, yes, we made those mobs together, and like we planned that out, but like I said in that confessional right after, did I really have to babysit you so? You can't just tell somebody else to do that. You have to make it seem like it came from them. Like, that blew my mind. So yeah, if you're gonna play like that, like, I'm sorry, but that's not good for me, and might as well like cut my losses now. I had no idea then that like how big that move for me was going to be for the rest of my game, because that was me picking a side, and that was me picking the winning side. And ooh, I think it's even more interesting now to know that of our core group, the other four were already together then at that point, and I was not. But then they still trusted me enough to like bring me in on that. Where truly, I do believe that I was the closest one to flipping or doing something different there. Um, like on paper, I was in with Sean and Braden more than anybody else, and yeah, I don't know. That was a huge point. Yeah, I don't know. I made the right choice. I'm here.
Okay, so Sean did go home and you did kind of join and link up with some people in the process. But then the next round, you felt pretty targeted. There was a lot of discussion around the people that voted with you the last vote about saying, oh, we're not together. Oh, let's pretend it was just against Sean. Um, but you seem like you definitely felt like you were set up for failure. There was a lot of talk about maybe throwing it. Of course, that didn't happen. You also even had some difficulty where you were trying to be the first person in telephone, and that kind of spiraled as well. So that was a really hectic round just all together that ended up leading to rocks. So just talk about all of that.
Oh, this might be the one that takes the longest to talk about. Um, let's see. After the Sean vote, Braden does not talk to me. He calls me right after to let me know that he voted for Sean, but he didn't know that was the plan. Asked me what happened. I said I voted for Sean on purpose. And he gets off call like 2 minutes later. Like, we have a very short conversation. And then I don't hear from him again until I think the day he got voted out. Might be wrong on the exact details there, but I'm pretty like he did not talk to me again until I think that live night or the double elimination, or whatever the hell was going on. Um, and when he set up the mobs, I knew from the last round, Brayden kind of had to be told how to make the mobs, and that's what we were all thinking. Like, one of these other people probably told him how to make these mobs. Somebody else who was on the outs on that vote. And I do believe that I was the main target that round, because Braden was in charge of the mobs, and I was the one that backstabbed him harder than anybody else. Him and Sean. I flipped on our trio, on our secret final three alliance and all that, and we didn't know what was about to happen. It could have been a single elimination, and I would have been fucked. Um, well, Well, see, even at that point, Corey was gonna give me immunity. Oh, I forgot. This is good information. Um, Corey was gonna give me immunity at that point if his mob won and it was single. He was gonna make sure I didn't go home. Um, and Lana did. I mean, from what I've been told, Lana wanted to throw it. Maddie did not. That holds up to everything I believe and know about the two of them. And so that third mob with 5 of my allies did not throw the competition, and they won. And the rest of us go. And the other two people who are screwed the hardest are Alex and Corey. And I get the Corey one on that. I get the Alex one a lot less. But maybe that's just who they were who Brayden felt like screwed him the most, or who maybe somebody else, or whoever was telling him how to dictate the mobs, felt needed to go. That was quite a round. So then I think I might have a chat was started with me, Alex, and Corey to figure out what the hell we're gonna do with the three of us going to this tribal, the minority. We all trust Lana, so we had her in, and then we know that Maddie has a power and has been working with us before, so we had him in. I'm unaware that I'm the last one to actually join this group, but it doesn't matter. I think I don't remember the order in which powers were revealed. I think I don't know. I'll have to go back and like check that because I'm not really sure in what order things were done. Like if I was the first to be like, look, I have this power that could help us, and then I heard about Maddie's, or I might have heard about Maddie's first, and then I was like, will I have this? But I do remember going to Corey first and being like, I have this power that could potentially help us. If we can make something happen here. I think Lana might have already told me about the double vote. And I think I might have said something after that, knowing that there were more chances because the numbers weren't going to work out with just a steal a vote. I don't know. I'm not sure about the order of all that, but we put together all our powers. We forced Maddie to give us his double vote. We've got my steal a vote. We use Lana's power to confirm that Zach and Oakley were the votes for Corey. And then Corey has his idol. And that round, it was mostly, I think, Alex talking to the other people, talking to Blake and Brandon, I think mostly. And I think Corey talking to Gigi, trying to figure out what the hell is going on because we just don't know. I'm hearing from everybody it's Brandon. I'm hearing from Colin and Kate that it's Brandon. We still don't know who Kate would have voted for that day. Crazy. The one person we shouldn't have stolen the vote from. Oh God, what around? Yeah, we.
And you went to Rocks for Alex.
Yeah, we.
About the only person in your group vulnerable to go home. Corey was safe and Alex was safe.
Yeah. Because why not? At that point, that was the group that I had decided to go with. We had made that 5. If we were using all those powers, it didn't make any sense for me to flip after the fact. And if I flipped after the fact, nobody on either side had any reason to trust me or work with me. I've backstabbed everybody left in the game. And if I went out on Rocks, we spent that whole day like pretty miserable and like defeated about what was going to happen, panicking. And when it came down to that, like to make that decision about like flipping or not a chance. I was ready to go. I like spoke up about it. I was like, I'm going to Rocks. I'm not flipping. The rest of you can do what you need to do. And it's amazing that we did survive, but with only me being vulnerable, I knew my chances were pretty good. And if I went out with a bang, and I had a great time anyway. If I'm gonna go out, that's a hell of a way to go out. And crazy round, but that, like Maddie said, and I think his jury question in that final comp was what changed the game. That set the 5 of us up together to run almost everything else going forward until we had to turn on each other, lost one of our own or anything like that. But that was the nobody else could catch up after that.
Okay, we'll move to the next round, which isn't super eventful. You guys had tried to target Brayden, it appears, but the throwing that I guess Bill alluded to did not go as planned. So talk a little bit about the chaos that was that night and Zach going home and then the resulting double that started with the individual.
Right. So that was when we had like the puzzle ones, and it got messed up because, well, first off, like Gigi wasn't even there, and she was on um the other team. And then once we won like the first two or whatever, it was like there was no way that we could really lose it. We were all trying to throw it, but then Bill accidentally says in the mob chat, "Hey, are we throwing it?" And that was fun. Um, but yeah, we try to get Britain out right then and there. It doesn't work out um, because we don't, I guess, throw hard enough. Corey tried to throw to Jasmine, and Jasmine said one Zaz. Um,
I just learned tonight in the jury roundtable what one Zaf meant. I had no clue what you guys were talking about
oh,
until somebody said it. No, maybe Corey said it in his Confessional. Sometime today I learned what one Zaz is, and I think you and Corey maybe were talking about it, or somebody was talking about it, and I'm like, I don't want to look stupid and ask what this is. And
yeah,
someone explained it to me today. Thank goodness.
our group chat name for a while was "We Made Shit Happen" #1Zaz, because that was during that challenge when Jasmine and Corey both had to unscramble stuff, and instead of season, Jasmine said one Zaz, and Corey gave her time to like fix it, and she just did like was not getting it. Um, yeah, that didn't like fully work out as planned, but it still ended up being okay because we were able to get him out next. We did take out Zach that night, which, I mean, we came into that with like our hit list, right? I think top of the hit list was Brayden for being like a challenge threat. You know, we can't have him winning anymore. And then I think it was Zach, and then Oakley, and then Brandon. So we took out Zach that night during live night. Then the next day, like I think we ended that with like the two mobs and the toilet paper endurance comp. And then the next, like that worked out where. So, I think if we had put Braden and Oakley on different mobs, I think they both would have gone. Um, because the order that we had our list in, but um, Braden got out, Oakley was spared, and then Brandon went out in the other mob. Um, yeah, Brandon's time was coming at that point.
Okay, but talk about if that impacted your game at all or your trajectory.
I think that was the first live night, right?
So Zach went out in the first live night, and
Yeah.
then you guys went into elimination, and then voted the next day.
Right. So, I mean, that first live night, the 5 of us came together first, and we came up with our plan and what we wanted to do for the night and how we were going to do it, and like our hit list and our mob picks and everything else. Then we get in a call with the 8, talk through everything, make those plans again. It had already been decided, but we go through the motions of picking everything together. Then we're able to go through this live night where every single one of our 8-person alliance, which is, I think there were 15 left at that point, we had majority, and all we had to do was win the comps, and we would be able to get exactly what we wanted. And that's what happened. It solidified our 5 even more, but also kept us good with our 8. And I mean, those groups are like, that's exactly what I needed. Those were great for my game, helped me get here. And then once we were able to take out in that weekend those 3 people, then we were 8-4 left. I'm feeling pretty good. I think nobody in our groups had like any reason to do anything different at that point.
At that point. Okay, well, next round, just that was perfect transition to say next round we also went to Rocks again. On my birthday, you gave Matthew a gift of rocks. Uh, Alex went to Rocks for You, again being, I think, the only one in your group that would be vulnerable, if I recall. However, it was a little bit different because there were only 6 of you voting, so that means only 4 people went on the wheel. So,
Three.
talk. Oh, was there 3? What was. Oh,
Logan
because
was safe
the.
from immunity, and then Kate and I were
Yep,
safe from tie.
yep, yep.
So Logan, Alex, and Jasmine were on the wheel,
And Logan wasn't there even to change the vote. So,
which was
um,
excellent. No complaints here.
for you. That would have been something interesting to ask him in his exit interview, but I didn't do it. Duke did, so we'll see if he asks that. So that being said, Alex did take one for the team. And then Gianna went out back to back, and I know that there was a girls' alliance that was literally made the day before on that. So you were put in a very awkward situation where 2 people in that girls' alliance were the target that round. There were 5 girls, and 2 of them were the targets. And then talk a little bit, but not a whole lot, about Jasmine leaving the game and how, if that affected the trajectory of your game.
Right. Ugh, okay. I do feel so bad about Alex going because he is somebody that I wanted to take to the end. You know, that is somebody I wanted to play this whole game with. Um, he went out going to Rocks for me. I'd already done it for him. I did expect the favor to be returned, and I was not at all surprised when he did that. I think, like, of that group, you know, him and Corey, I would not be at all surprised them doing that. Maddie would never. Lana never had to find out. Um, and it was even, it just didn't make sense. And, you know, on that night, like, I called the house chat trying to understand why I still don't get how that move was good for Jasmine's game. Um, I don't understand unless she was able to get Alex or Logan to flip how tying it is good when she's the one of the 3 people who is left vulnerable. Um, that really pissed me off, but looking back, it was also good for my game. But Alex left. He left, which put 2 powers in my hand, as opposed to anybody else in my alliance who, as much as I trust them, I want it, not them. And it took away one of the numbers that Maddie would have used to go after me and Lana. I don't think that plan would have worked, but it forced him to be loyal even longer than he wanted to be. So I think that was good. It was sad to continue playing without him, but for me personally, with him gone, I'm probably the next best at any puzzle. So I didn't have to, like, puzzle comps were mine to win after that. Yeah, that was rough. And then we had Gigi going, and it was, I felt bad because I think Gigi's a nice person and everything, but I didn't feel like was super involved in the game. Made that chat the day before she got voted out, like, it's too little too late. And there was, like, I don't even think she even, like, called beforehand. She just, like, messaged me, like, hey, how are you? By the way, do you want to be in this chat with, like, all of us? I was like, sure? Like, what, do you want me to say no? And what pissed me off the most about that was the whole time, I think this did play a role in my game there, was the whole time people would talk about how, like, Jasmine blows up every single chat that she's in. And, like, just all the time. Like, just, how are you? And, like, what's going on? Like, what are you up to? And this and that all the time. And she would also do it with this chat. And she was the one speaking in this chat the most. And she was one of the 3 who knew that 2 of these people were supposed to go home. And it was pissing me off because it felt cruel and unnecessary. And I think that maybe, like, furthered my choice to be like, hey, Jasmine, I need to tell Kate the truth. This is bullshit. Like, you're giving her all these lies, and, like, this is just mean. It doesn't make sense. It's not helpful for a game. This doesn't add to anybody's resume or do anything. And so, I don't know, that furthered my decision to be honest, which I should have realized was the wrong thing, because if Jasmine is that pressed about making this be a huge blindside and a big move that's all hers, and, like, telling us all these like lies and stuff that she's coming up with, then go with it rather than worrying about like Kate or trying to jury manage. But like truly, jury management was only a part of that. Like just on a personal level, that's rude, unnecessary, cruel, and does not. It's mean in a way that doesn't help your game. So what's the point? Then that night after Alex is rocked out, Gigi's gone. You know, Kate and I both kind of go after Jasmine a bit and are like, hey, why'd you do this? Why'd you lie to us both? You told us both all these things, and half of all of this like wasn't true. And I do believe that after that night, Jasmine would have been the next vote. She wasn't going to win any comps, and she had pissed off everybody in the house. Maybe we would go after like Oakley first, and then go after Jasmine, but like she wasn't a number for us anymore. And I don't know, but I think her self-evicting was probably better for me in my game, in the sense that like maybe that only made the rest of my allies not trust me. I doubt it, but like it could have been a whole lot messier. That whole situation would have been funky. But then that call also gave me the chance to, in my like, I mean, okay, I was drunk, but like I was still very much aware of a lot of what I was saying and doing, and a lot of that was intentional. To kind of like let my guard down a little bit, seem like I mean, after a point, I don't remember what happened that night, but I do remember a good chunk, and it enabled me to like be honest with Kate and Oakley and be like, yeah, I know we're not like with each other in the game, like I know I'm against you both, like confirming to them where they stand, but like no reason to lie about it. It was pissing me off to lie when it like, and I didn't need to, and also kind of like fix maybe some of that like personal bond there, to be like, hey, I do think you guys are both like amazing people, like you guys are so great, and drunk calling them for like hours when nobody else is like still awake, and kind of like building up those like personal bonds a little bit more before I send them out in a way that seems as genuine as possible. Yeah, that's kind of funny. We I don't think I like really talked to either of them after that night. Aside from like the next morning. But I don't know. I would think I bounced back from like Alex going and everything that happened. Not like the one round that I did not know what was going on and was completely blindsided. And tried to like mend those relationships as best I could on a personal level while still keeping my game relationships intact too.
I said talk a little bit about Jasmine. That was a little bit more than a little bit, but I'll let it slide.
Sorry. It was more so how like the call and talking to the other people about what happened impacted the rest of the game.
So that call was a lot of Caitlyn calling out Jasmine, which was very strange to me since Caitlyn was on the bottom, it appeared. So she still ended up going home the next round after Jasmine had kind of forsaken you guys and kind of did what Oakley and Caitlyn had wanted. So was there ever any consideration of keeping Caitlyn because she kind of took one for the team and was calling out Jasmine, or was it just it was always your guys' idea, or at least in your opinion, that this whoever you considered to be that core group? I don't know if it was the 5 or 4 after Alex went. Was it the 7, the 8? Was that always your thought process of what was best for your game, and she was just always going to be a casualty?
Yeah, at that point, I mean, she was just going to be a casualty. For me, there was no reason to do anything different. I had myself set up well with the other groups that I had. It was now the core 4 with Alex gone, and the 8 had become the 6. But I'd already gone against Kate. She had no reason to trust me. I publicly said to her that I'm not with her. It didn't make sense for me to do anything different than follow through with that for both her and Oakley. So for me, that's just what made sense. think my confession was around that time. I was talking about how, like, I think right before the Alex one, I was like, everything going forward seems pretty easy, and that's kind of weird. Like, it shouldn't be that easy. Like, we have this 8, and then we have this 5, and then after that we'll see. But like, yeah, no, Kate was gonna go next. Oakley was gonna go next. Um, Even more so because they did do everything that they could to not have it be them, to do anything different. And they were both really good players and good players that weren't already with us, so they had to go.
I somehow made my little Tulsi go away, and I don't know how to get it back. But, like, you know when you leave the chat, the small little box
Yeah.
pops up? I can't find it anymore, so now I have to, like, come back because I'm talking in the project. Okay, so next round, well, it wasn't even really, I mean, it technically was next round, but it was the same night. Maybe half hour later, Oakley went out. This was after you're now hearing all these touchy subjects answers where you're getting a lot of the second ones, and that's why I wanted to make sure I posted the image before the vote went out, because I thought it was fair that everybody got to see things. And also, Matthew made the executive decision to not announce results without talking to me, and we always tell people who the winner is. So I wanted everybody to see what the actual answers were. Did any of that factor into that vote or coming votes, or did it make you think of your game in any different way?
When I saw those results, the first thing I remember saying to the prod chat was, "This confirms everything I thought about Lana. This confirms that we are playing similar games. People both think that we are playing good games and good social games, but she is doing it better than I am." And people, I got second place for who's going to win this game, but I was tied for one of the first answers for who's playing for second place. And I think that would only be because they would assume that I would take Lana. And Lana would beat me. And it confirmed everything I needed. I already believed at that point, and that's what I needed to hear. That those results, it also proved that Corey is an emotional player because he did take those results personally. It was just another way to like see that about him. It also showed me that Maddie didn't get anything, and you can take that a lot of ways, but to me that was like he's playing a very under the radar game. He has been in control. He's known everything that's happening in this game. He's never in danger. His name is never coming out of anybody's mouth for good reasons or bad. So he doesn't have a target on his back, but he doesn't have any like enemies against him either. Doesn't really have any clear blood on his hands. So it made me more wary of him. And then with Lana, it got me really thinking about when is the right time to take her out. She is the one ahead of me, though. I needed to keep her around as long as I could for a shield. If I took her out any sooner than I did, I would have been next. I would have lost an ally in her at that point. I would have lost Corey's loyalty. Maddie already wanted me gone. I mean, at that point, like Oakley was like trash talking me. If I took out like Lana, I mean, first off, I didn't even think I'd have the numbers for it at that point to even like really make that move. But she had Bill and Logan in her pocket more than they were with me. And so it didn't make sense for me to do anything with that. And I think like pretty quickly I did come to the conclusion that I can't take her out before final three. Like she needs to come in third place. That is a placement that she is getting, and that is that. And at that point, I was probably going to take like Corey to the end. And at that point, I thought Maddie would get fourth.
So Maddie didn't quite get fourth.
Didn't. Also sad.
We actually had Bill go out, which kept Colin in the game, which we kind of talked a little bit about yesterday, I think. But Bill going out impacted your game, did not impact your game. I know you had said you were kind of pushing for Colin to go sooner than he did. So talk about your strategy there and if you think it was a pro or con for Bill going. And then you can lead into the Maddie vote, which is really, I think, one of the more impactful moves.
Oh, that was fun. Okay, Bill going. I was pushing so hard for Colin. Everything made sense for Colin to go home. I didn't understand why Bill had to go home. And Lana came out the gate with, like, it needs to be Bill. And I was like, I don't want her to get her way. I don't want her dictating, like, what's happening right now. And so, like, first we talked and we are both, like, you know, respecting each other's opinions and all that. Then we had Corey in. Corey agrees with Lana. I'm like, that's fucking great. And we already know that Maddie would rather Bill or Logan go because he's worried about me, Lana, Bill, and Logan being a thing. But Colin was a threat. Colin needed to go. Colin had proved that he'd done well in endurance comps and stuff like that. I think Bill's strength is more like the creative stuff. The other mob boss that he won was when I was his partner. No, I wasn't like too worried about that, but it did make sense in the end. Like I was content with that decision to a degree when we made it, because it would hopefully calm Maddie down a little bit. If we're like willing to take out Bill, and show that we're more with him than with anybody else. And we were worried about the co-mob boss, because if we took out Colin and then Bill or Logan won, they save each other, and then the four of us are left to fend for ourselves. And, you know, we don't want to do that. So, I don't know. I wasn't super thrilled overall about that vote, but also the person who gets the most blood on their hands from that vote is Lana. It's not like it was somebody else that I was super tight with that they were taking out. It was one of Lana's closest. But that also showed to me the way that she was pushing for it so hard. Lana will cut anybody. And when it came time later for me to cut her, like that was definitely on my mind. Like if she can do that to Bill, she will do that to me. Yeah, it just proved to me that Lana was a player and that she was gonna win this game. And I still needed my alliance to go a little further, so, you know, that was all fine and dandy. That's not the move that I wanted to make. I think if we took out Colin at that point, I mean, I don't know. I think the difference is that at the end, the final four would still end up being like us three puppeteers and Logan. Because Maddie would probably still have to go. But yeah, okay, and then Maddie goes. Ugh, spicy. So before that, I had found the idol. So in case like super funky shit was happening, I could save myself. But I was really worried about Corey's nullifier, because if he didn't play it on Maddie, then he, like, let's say like Maddie and I both play idols that round. Whoever Corey nullifies, like, shows exactly where he stands on that. But oh, that was crazy. Again, that was like another like Lana decision. She came out the gate like, yeah, if Maddie's throwing out my name, my name, then he has to go. Obviously, I was on the same page, but I was gonna let Corey come to that conclusion himself instead of dictating it to him. But that's what I wanted. It was Maddie's time to go. I was still worried about Colin, but if Maddie was coming for us, we had to go. And I got to like publicly steal his power. That was cool. It was nerve-wracking as hell. Shout out to Alex for that. But yeah, then I got to steal his power. That was cool. And then I gave it to Lana, and I had to count on the fact that Corey would save me. And I think I was able to like do that because I did have an idol, and I did know that like I have one more like step of protection here in case anything else goes like crazy. But also, like, if Corey was telling us all that and everything else that was going on, I trusted him. And Logan needed to do anything to save his skin. We got to send out Maddie. I got to steal his coin. He got to play his idol. Corey got to nullify it. I got to be saved by Corey. And then Lana got to flip a coin and not be safe. And then Colin got to feel like a moron. Yeah, crazy stuff. I don't think that that was the best move for Corey if he wanted to win the game. Um, but like even if he went with that, that would have been Maddie's move probably. I don't know.
All right. So then we move into where things were really actually kind of getting tight. You know, Logan self-voted, so we kind of talked about that a little bit last night. If Colin had won, however, or had not won, do you really think that would have been the vote? How do you think things would have panned out? Just talk about those final couple of rounds of like ideal situations versus what happened and whether you think what happened was best for your game. Obviously, you are where you are, but if you had hindsight or control over the past.
I do think Colin would have been the vote. If anybody else was going to be the vote, they would have ended up being the vote. Um, and we were all up front with Colin about the fact that it was him, and he went into it knowing it was him. Like, I don't think there were any. I don't know that there were any other schemes going around at that point. Um, I mean, ideally at that point, anybody but Colin would have won. We would have sent Colin home at 5, had Logan around one more round, um, and then do we like just keep going throughout like the next few?
Yeah, and just but also talking about, I mean, we know what did happen, but just your thought processes and what you were hoping happened, and you know the order you were hoping people would go out.
Um, I was hoping it would be Colin, then Logan, and then Lana. It
So
ended up
pretty
being
close.
yeah, it ended up being Logan, then Colin, then Lana. Um, that round, I think it was really great for me to have that idol when I did, and not have it like a moment longer or a moment like shorter or anything else, but like it kept me from getting paranoid the way Corey and Lana were. They were both, like freaking out a lot more, worried about like some other scheme going on. I knew that, I mean, Corey had just used his nullifier. Nothing was going to keep me from getting to the final 4. And if I actually needed that idol or anything else funky happened, I'd know exactly where I stood. And you know what? I ended up winning the last 2 comps anyway, so that would have been great if they did try to come for me then. And I'd still be here. Um, yeah, things at that point pretty much worked out the way I wanted them to. I had my idol to get into the final 4 for sure. Not that I needed it. I knew I didn't need it. There was no point with me going home with it in my pocket because it's not even like a real idol. I can take it home as a souvenir. This gives me nothing. It's a picture of a car in my prod chat. um, so yeah, that worked out because I had my idol for the last possible round I could use it. I won the puzzle competition, and things were pretty set. The 3 of us like talked a little bit, but like not so much game because game was set at that point. Once I won that comp, and I like the only thing I was worried about. Okay, the only thing I was worried about at that point was the final challenge because I knew I was getting there. I don't know how paranoid the other 2 were, and if they were talking to each other only about how paranoid they were about it, and because I was safe. And if I wanted to make a move, I could have gone to Colin and potentially done something and taken one of them out. But I wanted Colin gone for so long. He, I think, was a huge threat, and he needed to go. Yeah, so then that happened. Then we get to the final comp. And I knocked it out of the park.
You skipped over one comp though.
Yeah.
If Corey had said check and had been okay, would you have lasted 5 minutes? 4 cups, 2 cup? What do you think your ability would have been, knowing that it's not just endurance but also some dexterity?
It's not pure endurance, so I think I stood a decent chance. And I would have held that as long as freaking possible. Um, especially because if Corey won the first part, I don't know. I had thought about all of those like situations going into it, and I did believe going into that final challenge that if Corey won, he would take me. Um, I knew that the first challenge was going to come down to me or him. The second challenge was most likely Lana's to win, but I would have put up a fight if I was in it. And the third comp, Corey would win if he was in it. Lana would flop if she was in it. I would do well, but not as well as Corey. Because that's how we all did in touchy subjects. You know, Corey got 8, I got 7, Lana got 4. So I knew I needed to most likely win the first one. Lana would win the second, and I could go in and win the third. But if anything else did happen, you know, if Lana won, I would have like pull out all the stops. We've had a final 2 since the beginning. I am so excited to do this with you. Like we've been talking about this since the beginning. I can't wait to do this. And if Corey won, I at that point like would have assumed that it was me. I'm not sure exactly what I would have said right now, but like I think, I mean, I know now that he would have taken Lana, but if I expose that she's had a final 2 with me too this whole time, and emphasize that I've been loyal to the bone, would have gone to rocks for him, and have proved that, have had his back the entire game, then I think at that point he does take me. I don't think Lana
Okay.
ever takes me though.
I'm gonna
I
run
would have
back to the
tried. I would
VL.
have made her feel really bad about not taking me.
I'm running to the VL because one of the VL questions is, and we've already kind of discussed this, and they obviously haven't watched the look back, but ask Tulsi why she took out Lana instead of taking out Corey. Did you think one was an easier win over the other?
Absolutely. Um, I do think it's easier to win against Corey than against Lana. Um, like I said, look, okay, so like while I was doing that, I could see like the live comments on the side, and everyone's like, "Oh, make it an all-girl finale, like that's what we want to see." I'm like thinking in my head, that's what you want to see, but that is not what's going to be good for me. Like that would be great TV. That would be what the viewers would love to see, and you know, like that'd be a really cute like me and her at the end. You know, everything that we talked about. Um, these like 2 new female orgers like running this game. And the last thing I see before I vote is the message that Kate sends saying, but Lana beats Tulsi, lol. And I'm like, you're right. She probably does. Um, I, and like before, you know, I'd been looking a lot to what happened last season. Like, Ryan took Jordan over Jeff, ended up losing. Um, One of the last things that you have to do right is take the right person to the end. Um, I think I can say a lot more about my game than Corey can say about his. I think the way Maddie went out, the way that Oakley went out, I think the jury will be against him already because they'll feel like I was in control and he never took a shot against me, and he had the opportunity to with Maddie and still didn't. And I don't think that they're going to be on his side. I mean, similar things have been said like on all the Facebook comments. You know, feeling like both me and Lana would have beaten Corey, things like that, and I think it's true. Um, as fun as it would have been to watch me and Lana at the end, I'd rather win.
All right, got to go back and scroll back up. Okay. Do you have any regrets this game? And if so, what are they?
Being here right now, like I can't say that I do because if I do anything differently, do I still end up here? I hated Alex going out the way he did and me like fucking up with Jasmine there, but everything that happened led me to this moment. Why change it? I did make a mistake that round, and I'll own up to that, but I bounced back and was able to maneuver the rest of the game flawlessly, never getting any votes after that. No regrets. I've had a good time. I did everything I wanted to do. I think I played the best game that I could have that still gets me here and sets me up to do really well tomorrow.
So this one doesn't make much sense as a follow-up question, but I'll ask it anyway. The question was, what would you, it was like, do you have any regrets? And then it's like, how would you change that for future games? I mean, you haven't really noted any regrets, so maybe just like what you learned from these things that you would take to future games.
I've been told in the past I'm a very transparent player. I think that is incredibly true. Especially with some of the like things that Corey and I were just talking about last night after everything, like some things that I said and did that like, gave me away a little too much. I think that's the biggest thing. I think like going into future games, I'll also be taking a lot more confidence. I came into this game feeling pretty good because I did get positive feedback from Power that made me feel a lot better. Made me feel like, you know what, I can do this. Helped me to see what my strengths were, which is like my social game and stuff. A lot of what helped me to succeed is that my allies were so loyal to me. And I don't know. Like, there's nothing that I would change about this game. But I think there's like a lot of different reasons why I was successful. And a lot of it has to do with like this cast and like how I was able to work with them and just how everything like, ended up, how all the chips ended up falling. It ended up being a good game for me, but I always play as myself. I don't come into it with like a grand plan, and I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a like deceitful player or anything. I play this game as honestly as I can. Even when I had to lie, I didn't really want to. Like I fought so hard. Like, do I even tell Caitlin the truth and all that? I don't know. I think I play this game as me every time. I think this format and this cast worked out where doing that works.
Okay, and you probably saw a little bit of this in Jordan's final confessional, whatever you want to call it, where I just ask a few questions about the format. I know you haven't played as many games, so you might not have as much insight, but did the format challenge you in any way? Do you think you benefited from the format? And any other feedback you have? Like with Jordan, how I asked him, you were picked in the blind vote. You didn't get to be on a party the first round. Like, how did that affect your game? So just take into consideration those kind of things. Like the co-mob boss, did that impact your game or your strategy? Are there any things about the game that you like that we should amplify, or are there things that you just felt didn't work that you would tweak? Any of that kind of feedback we would love.
I love this format. I mean, this is a kind of format that I thrive in. Having a lot more options, not having to necessarily like, pick a side on the first vote or anything, was really good for me. Like, I had time to build more of those connections with a lot more people, and I didn't have to pick a side. Like round one, I think that this format challenged me to think. I think that this format challenged me to think a lot more strategically. Even if I wasn't going to be the one in the driver's seat, like one of my allies would be, like, there was a specific like way to control what was happening and how you make the mobs. There's a lot of like thinking that goes into it. I don't think in the past I've been a super strategic player. I'm relying a lot more just on the relationships I've built and playing as a social player. So I think this format really helped me to think more critically and grow as a player. and helped me to like do things that I'd never been able to do before. Um, it's also a lot of fun. It's fun to be able to talk to the whole cast whenever you want to see the interactions with everybody all the time, like in the house calls and stuff. Seeing like you get a lot more of a like everyone is like in the house together, and you can see that. You can see what's going on. Um, so that's pretty cool. What else did you ask?
I just gave some examples like co-mob boss and the powers and things like that. Was there anything that you think enhanced the game, detracted from the game, anything you would tweak or amplify, kind of thing?
Hmm.
And I'll give you a good example. Season 1, the captains were not immune. They just won and picked the groups. And we got strong feedback that that was an awful lot of exposure to put yourself in without getting at least something else out of it. So we used to give everyone that wanted a power immediately, and yet they weren't safe. So they were like, a power, and sometimes the power sucked and it really wasn't worth it. So we immediately changed that to where we gave the individual person safety. So just that's the kind of feedback we're looking for. If there's anything you can think of that you just thought hindered the game or stilted the game or really propelled it forward.
Um, yeah, having mob bosses get immunity, fantastic. The two mob bosses that I won, like pre-merge or whatever, were the two that didn't have immunity attached. So that was fun. Um, but no, I think that works out really well. I really do love that powers are not all handed out at once, that they are handed out like a little bit throughout the whole game. Um, I think it was good for me and my game that it was pretty predictable where the powers would be, when they'd come out. Everybody knew that there was gonna be something at the first roll of the party line challenge. And it's nice to know that like if you do that research and that kind of thing, that that's gonna help you. But also it like I don't know. I mean, and you've got some strategy in like who are you going to put there? Like, are you in a group that you can do that with where they'll let you have that role? Because my mob did not. Um, I think, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, that does add a dynamic where, like, it's strongly rumored that this is how it's going to be. Everyone, like, is pretty certain it's going to be this way. And this is how you get a power. And, like, there's multiple chances for that. And you have to be in a good spot with your mob to, like, get that. Um, but also, it's like, I don't know if I would change it or not. I don't. It's also like a little predictable, and it's like, well, you know exactly where like this is gonna happen. Um, yeah, but I really did like how like they were put out all throughout. Um, as far as I know, the last power that was put out there was the idol that I found, and it was put out. I think on like Monday or something. I don't know. The
Oh,
I
don't ask me a day of the week.
well, when I found it by going through the revision history of the wiki, not by just actually finding the link. And I was like, oh, here's a recent change. And it was the link. And it said, like, word search 1920s. I was like, wonder what that could be. um, uh,
Any challenges you hate, challenges you love, tweaks to that, suggestions. And you don't have to give those now, but those are just things I'm planning in your head. You've got a lot in your mind right now in the next 24 hours. You will decompress over the next 4 or 5 days. And when you're reliving the game, we love that kind of feedback. We even sent out a survey maybe a month or so ago, just seeking like what would you change about the challenges? What challenges would you add? Suggestions. And again, being a newer to orgs, I mean, you may have some live game, feedback and things like that, but we just love the feedback. If things just really don't work, I'm really sensitive to things really disadvantaging or advantaging certain people, so I try to keep it a little bit more balanced. So if any of those things come to mind, I would love to hear it. There is another question from the VL. Is there any pressure being only the second female to ever make it to the end of Ascendance?
no.
That was an easy one.
I think someone who commented on the like the final two picture said something about how, like, oh, Ascendance is finally going to have a female winner. And you're right.
Vicky was close. She only lost by 1 vote.
That's rough. I
It is.
didn't I didn't go back to watch anything besides Spring Break, really.
I love Vicky, and I know she's not watching this, and probably none of her friends are, but like we thought Jabbar was gonna win that like unanimously. So she had a hell of a speech. Good for her. Like I, not gonna lie, I played shitty in a game, made it to finals, and went and rewatched her speech and took notes because like damn. So props to Vicky.
No, I'll go watch that before
Props to.
tomorrow.
I don't think her game will apply to yours. I don't know that you can lift a lot of things. It was a duos game, so it's
True.
probably not going to help you a lot. But that being said, I think you have a lot, and I kind of said this to Corey. I think you have a lot to go over. The game was very long and very tumultuous. Lots of ups and downs, ins and outs. I think there's a lot of things that people do know. A lot of people things that people don't know. There's a lot of people out there that you worked with closely. Some people you didn't work with at all. So um, I think we kind of described how you get your 5 minutes at the beginning, the 5 minutes at the end. Since you did win the final two challenge, another perk of that is you get to choose who goes first. So if you choose to go first in opening statements, then you will go second in closing statements. So it just depends on if you want the first word or the last word. So just kind of decide that because you don't get to go first both times. So if you're like, I'm going first in the opening, you don't get to go first again. So
Right.
um,
I mean, technically, then you'd get both the very first word and the last
check
word.
with Matthew on that. Yeah. So check with Matthew to make sure nothing's changed. I know he's asleep, but he'll kind of fill you in on if he needs you to tell him anything or submit anything in advance. I am not aware of any jury that cannot make it. If they can, of course, they can send a video. I know Oakley had something come up tonight where he wasn't able to attend jury roundtable. He hasn't said that's going to impact tomorrow. Um, but that being said, obviously, if there's anything personal from any side, we will cut that off. I forgot to say that to Corey, so I'll try to remember to say that in the thing. Same thing with alumni. When we get added, people are going to start watching confessionals. Tempers and feelings might rise. Whether you've won or lost, there will be feelings there. We don't bring that to our alumni chat. We either push it way down deep and bring it in professionally. We do not rag on people. We don't personally insult people. If you see it happening, a lot of people will back up and say, Mama Nicole's not gonna like that. So you will see people like coming out and saying, like, don't, Nicole's gonna come yell at you. I'm not saying that is gonna happen with you. I think this cast is probably for the most part getting along. But I do warn people because sometimes people have said things in confessionals they forgot. And those will get released probably Friday or Saturday. So I think that's my spiel to wrap things up. This is your chance to give final thoughts on this season, final thoughts on your game. You're welcome to make as many posts as you want, even after the season's over. If you have look back thoughts, feel free to post them. But for this confessional, what are your final thoughts?
Um, what a game. I mean, this is my second ever org, and I am in the final two. Um, I think that's really amazing. I think I was able to learn a lot in real quick. I think this format lends itself really well to the kind of player that I naturally am. Um, Helped me grow a lot as a player, and I love that. It's been so much fun. I really did love this whole cast. Um, it was it was really fun to play this game with everybody, the people I was with and the people I was against. Um, this is so great. It still blows my mind that I'm here. I had some of my like friends watching live as I did that like third comp and stuff, and seeing me like win that final immunity and then send home Lana, and I got so many like positive comments. My friends tell me I'm gonna win. I'm not trying to be like overconfident or anything, and I'm not gonna go into tribal being like, hey, I already won, give it to me. I'm gonna earn it. I'm gonna prove that I deserve it, but I believe I deserve it, and I already messaged Jordan to like let him know I'll be joining him in the winner circle real soon. Um, and I am so excited for tomorrow. I might post like I've got a whole thing in my like notes app of all the stuff that I've been like thinking about. It's like these are like my rough notes for what I might say tomorrow. So I'm gonna clean that up, get it all nice and like polished. Have it flow and say exactly what I need to say to make my points tomorrow. And I'm gonna be looking real cute and 20s, and it's gonna be great. Super excited.
Okay, well, congratulations on making it to the end. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you, Nicole,
And
for hosting and like creating such an awesome, fun game.
that's my reward since I don't get a prize. All right, let me stop recording.